Welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how we propagate fig branches from fresh stems. So before I learned this method, I was spending way too much money on fig trees, and sometimes they didn't even survive. But once I learned how to propagate fig branches from my own tree, everything started to change. Now we have dozens of fig plants, and guess what? I did not pay a cent for that. In this video, I'll show you exactly how we turn fig branches into healthy new trees, step by step, right from my own backyard. No fancy equipment, and you don't need to be a plant expert. Now stay with me until the end, because I'll be sharing with you the one thing that almost ruined my first few cuttings, so you do not have to make the same mistake that we did early on. So why propagate fig branches? If you've ever bought a fig sapling, you know that they're really expensive. They can also be very fragile when transplanted, and you have no idea if the fruit will ever be good enough. But when you propagate from a healthy tree that you already love and take care of, you will get identical fruit quality, free trees for life, and a meaningful connection to something that you grew yourself. So the fig that we propagated is from a thriving tree in the backyard, and every time we see it, it feels like a little piece of home is still growing with us. So let's talk about a step-by-step fig branch propagation method that we rely on, and let's get into the exact steps that we use every time. So first, I want you to go ahead and choose the right branch. So pick a dormant, pencil thick branch. It can be during the winter time or early spring. This is the ideal time to pick your branches, and cut a 6 to 10 inch piece with at least 3 nodes. You can use a sharp, clean shears would be best. Next, you would need to prep your cuttings. So remove the leaves, the buds as well. And as optional, we also sometimes dip the bottom end in the rooting hormone. It could be a liquid rooting hormone that you've already prepared ahead of time. It could be a powder rooting hormone, and that really helps to speed things up. Now if you don't have a rooting hormone, you can also use aloe vera, you can use raw honey as well, or you can just opt without, but this really helps to kickstart that process. Also, let it dry for 1 hour if you're using the hardwood method. Step 3 is to plant the cuttings. So use a well draining soil mix. We usually use perlite and compost 50-50, and then stick the cutting 2 to 3 inches deep, bottom node covered, and then you firm the soil and water slightly. Now step 4 is when you create a humid environment. So you're going to create more like a greenhouse effect. You're going to cover the pot with a clear plastic bag, place in a warm, bright space, not in direct sunlight, and then mist the soil if the soil gets dry. The most important thing here is to aim to keep it damp and not soggy. And then you need to be patient, because the roots can take anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks. Gently tuck after 4 weeks. If there's any resistance, it's still working. So I used to check mine every single day like a worried plant parent, and when I used these first few times I started propagating, I was just really paranoid, and when I saw the first leaf poke out, I literally did a happy dance in my backyard. It was like, oh my god, finally it's happening. And it took around between that 5-6 week mark for it to happen on the first few tries. So here's the mistake that I made that you don't have to. So here are the things that almost killed my cuttings, and it was just a terrible disaster in the first 2 times actually. First thing is overwatering. So the figs rot really fast if the soil stays wet. Also, the other mistake is no airflow. So if your plastic bag touches the cutting, then the mold will start to grow very quickly. Another thing is doing it in the wrong season. I once did mine in summer, so the summer cuttings often dry out before rooting. And lastly, skipping drainage. So always use a pot with holes in order to ensure drainage. This will allow the airflow to go through and everything to dry properly before the next watering. It will also cut down on any mold or fungi trying to grow. So once I corrected these, my success rate jumped from 30% to nearly 90%. So when and how should you transplant your new fig tree? Once everything's all started and all the leaves have started to come out, how can you be able to safely transplant them? So once your fig cutting has a healthy root system, you're going to go ahead and transplant into a large pot with a potting mix. You're going to keep it partially shaded for the first week and then water deeply, but let the top inch dry before or in between watering, and then harden off before planting outside as well. As an extra tip here, you can label your cuttings if you're experimenting with multiple fig varieties. We're just working on one fig variety. We've got a tree in the front yard as well as a tree in the backyard, so we're not going to go ahead and label. If we do label, then it's just that date that we want to put on, just so we could track and monitor how long it's taking. So every time I walk past this tree, I remember the first tiny cuttings that came from it. Honestly, I can't believe that one little branch has now fed my family, shaded our backyard, and inspired me to grow more. So if you are on the fence about propagating, don't wait. Go ahead, try it, because growing something from nothing really does change you. So have you ever tried propagating figs, or is this your first time? Let me know in the comments section below, and I'd love to hear your story or answer your questions. Like this video if this has helped you in any way, or if you have learned any new information, and subscribe for more tips like these. Coming next is how I prune my fig trees for bigger fruit and faster growth, so you don't want to miss out. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. All the best.
اكيد راح اسوي شو اسمه voice over صح ولا لا؟
You're gonna do like a greenhouse?
اي احسن شيء.
لا greenhouse.
يعني اغطيه. ولا خلي ماي ولا شيء فيه.